I love asking actors this question. Is there a role that you didn't get that you still think about?
I think about it because you brought it up. But there's one role that I didn't get that I really wanted, and it's really only one in all these years, and it was uh, Dreamgirls. It was the Jamie Foxx role in Dreamgirls.
Oh, oh,
That was one.
wow.
It was, oh man, it was like in my fingertips. But it wasn't to be. I mean, Jamie's a great singer, and Jamie had just won the Academy Award, and I got number love. Jamie's the man. But that was definitely one that I wanted badly. I mean, the other one that I didn't get. I mean, Just Cause was another one. A lot of them in LA Law that I wanted badly, but it happened. But that was the one that got away. And the irony was, 10 years prior to that, and this is what I think made it so hard. 10 years prior to that, they were doing Dreamgirls with Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was going to play the Beyonce role. Eddie Murphy was going to be in it. No, not Eddie Murphy. No, Don Cheadle was going to play the Eddie Murphy role. And Joel Schumacher was directing it. And he offered me the role of the manager that Jamie ended up playing. So it was funny because I was doing a little thing in New York at the time. It was a Pearly rendition for the New York City Center, and Anika Nani Rose, who ended up being in it, who's phenomenal. But it was ironic. I don't know if I even talked to her about this, but my agent got the director of the new Dreamgirls to come see the production. Now I'm not a singer. I can hold a tune. I am not a singer. Anika is a hell of a singer. So I remember we were backstage, and Anika heard the director that they're doing Dreamgirls in Hollywood, and let's see what they do with it. And I don't even know if she knew the director was out there. But the funny thing was, she ended up getting the role, being in the movie, and I ended up not getting the role as it turned out. But yeah, that was one of the ones that kind of hurt when it didn't happen, because it had been in my hand 10 years prior, and this opportunity came, and then there was another turnaround on that, because again, Jamie Foxx had just won the Academy Award, but he was having some contractual issues because of the soundtrack. He had a record deal with somebody else. Soundtrack was with another company, and the director said, if the contract doesn't work out, the role is yours. I was like, oh, right at my fingertips. Twice it slipped out of my hand. But it's cool. You learn that it's not. Sally was talking about this in her podcast with you, but same thing. If it's meant for you, it's going to happen. If it's not meant for you, it's not yours. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing. And you learn that really early on in this business, or you just end up being miserable.
With this role with Dreamgirls, I was like, I could easily see you playing that.
Oh
Like,
man,
so yeah, that would have been perfect.
I don't have the voice that Jamie Foxx has, but y'all, we can loop it. I'll just move my lips. I'll listen.
Right. I was about to say, technology now. I feel like they could have got it together.
That's it. That's it.
So I'm really curious, because you seem so much and come off, and I think your career illustrates this. Like, you are an acting lifer. But was there ever a time where you felt like you experienced a low point in your career?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Highs and lows. 2008, I was in 3 series at once on television, 3 different networks. I was doing, what was it? New Adventures of Old Christine, which was a sitcom with Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I was doing Dirty Sexy Money with Richard, Donald Sutherland, and many others, big cast. And what was the third one? I forgot the third one offhand. But it was 3 on the air at the same time. One of them I was shooting at the same time. There was one day, a couple of days, I remember I was shooting at Paramount, Dirty Sexy Money, in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'd go over the hill into the valley, go to Burbank, and shoot New Adventures of Old Christine. So that was 2008. And then all 3 of those projects, the other one was In Treatment on HBO, In Treatment. All 3 of those projects were limited series. Well, then 2 of them. And then my contract was limited, and then Dirty Sexy Money was canceled. 2009, I didn't work the whole year. And that's one of those things where you felt like, people get tired of seeing you. I mean, I was everywhere doing all kinds of press on these 3 different shows. And people get tired of seeing you. Sometimes you just got to go away, because all you have is your face and your body and your talent. But your face is one that people just tired of seeing you. You got to go away. So that happened twice in my career. 2009, I just, that was tough, because that was not self-imposed. That was tough mentally, I think emotionally, financially, especially when you're everywhere the year before and nowhere the next year. The next time it happened was 2013. I was doing A Streetcar Named Desire on Broadway, and Bob Greenblatt, the head of NBC had come to see it, and he came backstage and said, "I want to do a show for you." Long story short, we ended up doing. I did a year contract, a production deal with NBC, and ended up doing Ironside. So, like I said before, you asked me earlier, I said every project you do, you put 150% into it. So you never know how it's gonna pan out. We did Ironside. We did 9 episodes. They aired 3 of them and canceled it. And it was part of the deals. To me, it was a success in the sense that it was an idea, and then you do this deal with NBC, and then nothing's promised out of that. I had pitched them project. They shot them down. They pitched me stuff to me. I shot it down. The last thing, like the last 2 weeks, was Ironside. I said, "Yeah, I'll do it," but it didn't work. So I told my agent, like, this was 2013, and all of 2014, I said, "I'm just going to take a year off." And that one hurt because that was self-imposed. I said, "I don't want to see a camera for a year." That could be scary, but it's a faith walk. And I just felt like I was going to take that faith walk and be unbothered. Come on now, and say and see where they fall. And took the whole year off. I ended up doing, and also I wanted to, from a creative standpoint, be reminded of why I do what I do, why I love acting, not the business, not the industry, but the work and the craft. And I ended up going to Israel, like in March or something like that of that year. Went to the Holy Land, and right before, like a day before I got on the plane, I was offered to do Othello at the Old Globe Theater in San Diego. It terrified me. It's one of Shakespeare's greatest roles. And I said, "Listen, man," I told my agent, I said, "I'm literally going to the Holy Land tomorrow for 2 weeks. Let me go pray on this. Can you give me 2 weeks?" And I did. And I just kept hearing, once I was there, I kept hearing myself, once I was in Israel, I kept hearing myself tell my kids, "Do the things that scare you. Don't run away from them." Because it was intimidating to play Othello. And so I said yes. Turns out, long story short, Jemele, it was one of the greatest opportunities and experiences of my professional life to have played Othello. It was a success financially, but also creatively. It challenged me in ways I'd never been challenged before. So that year of 2014, I did that same year, I did Othello. I ended up doing Trip to Bountiful with Cicely Tyson and Vanessa Williams, took that on tour. And literally the last month of 2014, I ended up got offered to do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think I did like the last 2 weeks of 2014 in December. I did that. It was kind of, and I have to tell you, it was good to get back on a set then, but I really haven't done those 2 plays and done some personal internal work. I just needed to have time away because, listen, this industry can chew you up and spit you out if you let it, and it can mess with your head if you let it. If you get caught up in it, that's one reason I've always tried to just resist being caught up in any of the negatives of this industry. Those negatives being, things that people gassing you up, people tearing you down. The uncertainties of this industry, the uncertainties of this business. But it's been a ride. It's been a ride. I've enjoyed it. But it's really the only thing that's kept my sanity is really keeping a faith in a higher power and relying on faith and not some man in an ivory tower or a woman in an ivory tower casting you, thinking that they're giving you validity and confirmation because they've hired you. And that's one of the reasons also I got into directing, producing, so I can hire other people that I think are talented and hire myself if I want to.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Rig the game in your favor. That's
right.
That's what you got to
talking.
do. Now I'm wondering, when you took that year off, and sort of shifted a little bit and kind of refocused, did you give any thought during that year that maybe you didn't want to act anymore?
No,
Mm-hmm.
not even a half a thought. Because no, I love it too much, and I knew I would want to come back to it. I didn't know necessarily that the industry would have opportunities when I came back. I felt it was there. I just didn't worry about it. I mean, I really that's the faith walk. But I didn't. It's not like it wasn't a thought. I just prayed about it and left it up to the higher power.